The campaign for U.S. Senate will be one of the most watched races in next year's election. Several Democrats have announced plans to run in the primary to earn the chance to take on incumbent Ted Cruz. But three stand out because they currently hold elected offices. Our Ryan Chandler spoke to those three candidates to find out more about their message for Texas.
Three Democrats running to take on Ted Cruz.
Ted Cruz has been one of, if not the most divisive senator in the entire country.
Colin Allred, representing Dallas in Congress, is the leading fundraiser in the primary, hauling in $6 million since announcing in May, giving him more cash on hand than Cruz. He's running on his record of bipartisanship in Congress and his work on major legislation like the infrastructure bill and the CHIPS Act.
Those are issues that Ted Cruz has also voted against, but you have to have leaders who are willing to do it, who are willing to put in that hard work of finding common ground.
We need to change this broken system that we're living in.
Roland Gutierrez rose to national prominence out of tragedy. After representing the families of Uvalde in the Texas Senate, his staple issues are gun reforms, like universal background checks and raising the age to 21 for purchasing semi-automatic rifles.
As the next senator of the United States in Texas, we're going to talk about that because there is no bigger issue. If you don't have your child, the economy, all those other things, they just don't matter.
When Sherman goes to Washington, everyone will go to Washington.
Carl Sherman, running on his credentials as a state representative and former mayor, arguing his East Texas roots connect him to the struggles of rural Texas.
I want a Texas that is inclusive of all Texans, where everyone from the farmers to the ranchers to those who work in our suburbs and cities have a seat at the table.
These three leading a field of more than a dozen Democratic candidates. They'll face off in a primary on March 5th. Ryan Chandler, State of Texas.
Allred leads the way when it comes to fundraising among Democrats. Meanwhile, Senator Ted Cruz has also posted big fundraising numbers. Cruz raised $5.4 million in the last 3 months. Remember, in 2018, he narrowly survived a challenge by Beto O'Rourke, winning by just 2.6 points. We want to go more in depth into the primary outlook. Joining us now is KXAN Live anchor and multimedia reporter Will Dupree. Welcome.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Thank you. All right, so political experts are anticipating how other factors may play into the Texas primaries. One of those is who Republicans here will choose for the presidential nomination. How is that shaping up?
We cannot forget that context when it comes to these primaries because voters will not only be deciding some of these lower ticket races, but of course who will be the Republican nominee for president. And again, Texas voters will be deciding on that. So you have to connect former President Donald Trump with Attorney General Ken Paxton. They are close allies, and with former President Trump leading in the polls here in Texas, that could in turn benefit some of these candidates that Attorney General Paxton is supporting. Very well, Donald Trump may support them too. So that will be a big factor that a lot of these political observers are watching come next year.
Yeah, you've really been looking into the impact that Ken Paxton is hoping to have on the primary. He's been backing candidates running against House members who voted for his impeachment. So what have you been hearing from candidates?
More than a dozen people now have that stamp of approval by Ken Paxton, and they are all facing people who voted for his impeachment in the House, and they are all Republicans. Now, reaching out to some of these House members who are indeed launching their re-election campaigns, it's a little bit hard to nail them down sometimes to talk about at least the primary right now. But I did talk to Abraham George, who is going to face off against State Representative Candy Noble in the Republican primary. You know, he said that he's very happy that Ken Paxton endorsed him, but it was not the only factor that he believes will benefit him in the long run. He says that, you know, voters in the grassroots there in Collin County in that area are unhappy with the leadership and the direction and some of the decisions being made by some of these Republican incumbents, and he thinks that will factor a lot into it. He also thinks that, you know, that Paxton endorsement will help boost him too.
So talking a lot about Republicans, but we're also looking at some Democrats too, that there could be a shakeup depending on how things go. Sean Theory in Houston, one that come to mind.
Yeah, we've been following that race for a while because of her vote on that transgender health care law. A lot of Democrats in her area are unhappy about that. She even was censured by a Democratic club in her district. However, she has been in that seat since 2017. So she served numerous terms there. Some people point to her record and are happy with the job that she's done. we'll just have to see again what happens next year.
Yeah, and a lot can happen before March.
And that is very true.
All right, thank you very much, Will. From the pageant stage to the political arena.
Speaking out as Miss Texas was actually probably one of the boldest things I've ever done. It was a little scary.
Meet the member of Gen Z campaigning to become the first in her generation to serve in the Texas House of Representatives.